Yes, Rachele Brooke Smith, producer, actress, and what was it? I'm so sorry. I'm like
no, no, not at all.
The founder of
Disruptive Movement.
Awesome. What is that?
Yeah, it's just a brand and movement I created just because I felt so passionate about helping people disrupt doubt and fear and limiting beliefs and really become the hero of their own life story. So,
oh, really? So wait,
yeah.
Is it a nonprofit or what is it?
No, we have a lot of different things that we do. One of which is we have an apparel line that just has wearable reminders on it in hopes that those wearable reminders really help people, be reminded of their power within, that they, no matter what's going on in their life, that they can. I've been so affected by reminders in my life when I was really scared to go on auditions or when I felt really discouraged, just to see a reminder, whether it was a shirt or a bracelet or something that just reminded me, like, hey, wait, like, I have control over my life. I can disrupt this perception of how I'm looking at it, and I can change it to being one that empowers me rather than disempowers me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
I know you had
you.
said something to me about me, and
Yeah.
I looked into it, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. So, this whole podcast about like anti-bullying and self-love, and
Yes.
a lot of the listeners, they, I don't know, maybe want to give a little background on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you always live in LA? Did you always?
No, so I actually grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and I moved to LA when I was 18, which was something that was terrifying because I didn't know anybody, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just had a really big dream. I grew up a competitive gymnast, and I grew up with a lot of fear and anxiety that I really self-created. There was a lot of pressure being a gymnast, but I just constantly felt afraid all the time, to the point where I was basically throwing up once a week because I was so scared of getting hurt or getting yelled at, because our coaches would yell at us hardcore and throw things at us, and it was just a lot, from the ages of 8 to 14. And so I had really learned the power of my mind in a negative way. Nobody ever told me hey, your thoughts matter, and hey, you can really change the way you're looking at something. It'll affect how you feel about it and then how you respond to it. And after I finally got the courage to quit gymnastics, which was very difficult for me because that was my identity, and everything I knew, my mom didn't really want to talk to me, my friends didn't want to talk to me, I didn't know who I was anymore. And so when I finally, after breaking my hand, having surgery, and crying alone in my room it was a really rough time, I saw this movie called Center Stage, and it was the first dance film I had ever seen, and it was just, this film was such a life-changing moment for me when I just sat in the theater and I just said, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to inspire and perform and dance just the way those girls did. And it really was a story of how this girl in the film got told she wasn't the right body type, that she would never make it, that she would never be anything. And her hero's journey of how she used creativity and movement and mindset really to make things happen way better than she could have ever imagined, and prove everybody wrong, basically. And after I saw that movie, I just was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do with my life. I want to be just like that girl. And I started telling everybody about that, and I was like, I'm going to act, I'm going to dance, I'm going to inspire, and everyone was like, yeah, right, have fun trying, nobody ever makes it. And I got a lot of discouragement and a lot of people telling me that I would never do anything in entertainment, because I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and I have all my family's in medicine and nobody's in the industry. And so pretty long story short, right around the same time I saw that movie and had that very life-changing moment, I also came across this book called As a Man Thinketh, that was my first understanding ever of that your thoughts really matter, and it really can affect the way you feel, and therefore can affect how you create your own reality that you live in. And I remember being mad. I remember being like, how come nobody ever told me this when I was 5 years old? Because I've been through so much stress and anxiety and panic attacks and illness because of not knowing this. And I just became really obsessed with personal growth and self-development and learning about how to really change my perception of what was going on and create a more loving, encouraging space for my soul to live in.
That's
and
awesome.
I ended up, moving out to LA when I was 18, even though I was terrified, and my dad was not happy with me because he was like, what are you doing? You need to, do a normal route, go to college.
Right.
And it was a fight. I had to fight really hard for that goal, that dream, and I just kept what I call being disruptive for that goal, and I kept watching Center Stage when I would get discouraged, and I would make vision boards, and I'd write down goal lists, and it was really what kept me motivated even when I felt so discouraged or homesick or lonely. And long story short, I ended up getting a call from an agent that had turned me down several months ago saying, Sony Pictures wants to book you as the lead in Center Stage 2.
And you know, it's funny that you're getting to that, and I'm like listening to everything
Yeah.
you're saying. It's funny because I had like looked into you before you got on, and you've done like a great body of work. So it's like congratulations on that.
So much.
I know you mentioned that, and now I know the
grateful.
backstory. That's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, you were like all about the first one, and then you
Mm-hmm.
got. That's like,
I
if
know.
you think about it, that's like
mind blowing.
right, because I was looking at your like all your accolades, and I was like, wow, she's done so many movies and all this stuff, and for you to say that story to me right now, I was like, wait a minute, this is like
Yeah.
really funny how you had like was inspired by the first one and they
Mhm.
casted you for the second one. I'm like,
It definitely didn't happen by accident, you know, like when people talk about we have this ability to create our own reality. If
right.
that story of what happened to me isn't exact example of that, and every other film or TV show that I've been on has been that pattern of like deciding what you want and then just being so brave about it, like just keep taking action. I mean, I say all the time to myself, like it doesn't matter outcome, like the only thing that matters is that I take action. Like if I take action, I win. Because otherwise I end up talking myself out of doing things I really want to do because of fear.
Speaking of that, what is, for listeners that are listening, what is something that like got you past your fear? For like people that are listening, like what got you?
Well, I think there's a lot of different things that can help us get past fear. What's been I feel like we all have these superpowers. And I think we have to discover them and develop them. And I definitely believe all of our superpowers are the power of like movement is a superpower. It can help you change your physiology, like your biochemistry. If you're feeling like discouraged or defeated and all you kind of want to do is like sit and cry and, you know, kind of like hide under a rock.
Right.
But what's interesting is that if you can, I tell people like feel your feelings. Once I finally learned to just like scream and cry and allow myself to feel what I was going through, and then go do something to move it and transform that energy so it doesn't stay stuck inside of me or suppressed. So to really feel what you're going through, you know, that's okay to cry, it's okay to scream, but then go do something physically to transform that energy to one that's going to empower you. For me, that's been movement, whether it's dancing or running or riding a bike outside or going on a walk, like doing something physical so that energy doesn't stay trapped and stuck inside of me. It can move through me, and when you start moving, you get more blood to your brain, you have more oxygen in your body, you can think clearer, you think better, you can start looking at things in a different perspective, and really understanding too that everything is in perception, right? So like I could have the same, two people could watch the same movie and have completely different perceptions of what happened. Same thing in life, like one person could get told no 100 times and they stop because they're defeated. Another person could get told no 100 times but they kept going because it didn't defeat them. It was like, no, this is just part of the journey. And they keep going to the 150 times when they get that one big yes that changes everything. So it's really just like perception.
It's crazy that you're saying that because like as I'm hearing about the whole movement, like just keep moving, like I kind of understand it, and then I realized like maybe since I started this whole like anti-bullying movement, I'd be doing things like at nighttime I go for walks, and that's all my creativity.
Yes.
So that when I was like unconsciously, I'm like I'm not even understanding, but movement, that's what that is. Because I'm like, wait, I don't get it, and then I realized that's when all my thoughts were coming to me, just being. And that was the moment it hit me the most when I'm at night. And it's just like, you can see the stars and I'll just be walking and then I'll jog and it'll just be like no one around, and that's where all my thoughts would come. So movement, that's what it means.
Well, I really feel like, again, like creativity is a superpower. Like it is literally one of our biggest powers that we have as human beings, and that things that inspire more creativity are movement, as well as like laughing, like watching funny videos, or being around people, like getting out in nature. There's so many different things that can help us tap into our creative power, that if we don't ever do those things, if we get stuck on social media or scrolling through our phones, or, you know, kind of in toxic situations, one of my favorite quotes is, anxiety has no creative power. So anxiety has no creative power. So anytime you're feeling anxious about something, like you're never going to be able to have that creative power like you want to. That's why we have to go figure out whatever works for you. I'm a big believer that everybody's body, mind, lifestyle is so different. So like I'll never understand what it's like to be you,
Right.
and you'll never understand what it's like to be me, or we'll never understand what it's like to be anybody else but ourselves.
Exactly.
So everything is just testing and trying different things out. You know, so many times too, I think we get so in our routines of doing the same things all the time, which can be a really healthy thing, but it can also hold us back from our full potential if we don't ever like step outside our comfort zone and just try new things just to try them. Rather than just thinking like, oh, I'm not going to try it because I'm not going to be perfect at it.
Right.
I think that helps us also have a lot more self-love and self-trust.
Definitely.
Because we get these instincts and intuition to go try a guitar class or try an acting class, or not because you want to be some amazing guitar player, but just because you want to develop more creativity and self-love and compassion.